For those of you that are tuning into the recording for the first time, my name is Ted Dahalski. I'm the Environmental Health Technical Specialist for DACAP and the Lodging and Campground programs. Today's agenda, we'll start with roll call and then any public appearances. I did not receive anyone wishing to speak, so it looks like we'll be skipping that today. We're going to continue with Section 18, which is the building structure and safety. Today's focus is on exiting, fire prevention, smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, and some additional exiting requirements. We will then get into building and premises maintenance, Section 19, and that will conclude for today's meeting. So starting with roll call, is Greg online?
Yes.
Okay. Amy?
Here.
Chrissy?
Here.
And Lori? She had emailed she had some difficulties, so she might join us later. Emily?
Here.
Melissa?
Here.
Brandon?
Hello?
Hey. Corey? Greg?
I'm here.
Jason?
Here.
Jim?
Yes.
Jason? Trista? And Bill declined. Andy?
Here.
Jumani? David?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
And Mary Ellen declined. Is there anyone else on the line that I didn't read off?
Steve Lisser from Sauk County. I'm here.
Hey, Steve. All right, very good. And again, like I had said, I did not receive any public appearances or people wishing to speak. No one contacted me, so we'll move forward from here. Looking at our code review timeline, again, we're in the highlighted portions, continuing that building structure and safety area, and then moving on to 19, building and premises maintenance. I think we might be able to gain a month here. I'm thinking of combining 20 through 26 for May, or for the April meeting, and then May will go on to the next page, which would be the subchapter 6, the specialty lodging. Jim and I still have to kind of tease out a little bit more on what that would be exempt from or what that would look like. But I think we're going to go ahead with proposing some language for specialty lodging. After more internal discussion and getting a little bit of feedback from DSPS, the idea of a special event lodging, I think we're going to forego. I don't know how we can make it financially attractive enough to have someone pick a special event lodging over just a simple tourist rooming house license. I don't know that we can get it any cheaper than where we are now. So, and nor do we want to hand out licenses without actually doing an inspection. So I think we're going to scrap that idea of a special event lodging, and anyone wishing to offer their facility for lodging would just do the tourist rooming house or hotel or specialty lodging licenses that would be available. Did you want to say something, Jim?
No.
Oh, okay. And then what is labeled as July, I think we can probably move up to June to talk about fees, which we had skipped over in the beginning. And then I just wanted to follow up from last time in regards to nitrate testing. Dave, thank you for your comment. It was kind of a challenge trying to find information or research papers linking the dosing and time to response. A lot of it was just, if you have a high nitrate level, it's unsafe, or there's health effects that can happen from that. But I couldn't really find a whole lot of information of how often you have to be drinking it or how much of that you have to be drinking. I did reach out to the DNR for some more information. They had pointed me to a couple of research papers and then also to the Department of Health in Minnesota. and they have a fact sheet, which is the snippet on the right. They kind of summarized some research papers, and they did point out that in that highlighted section, some infants developed symptoms after fewer than 2 days, and other infants were fed formula prepared with well water. This is contaminated well water with nitrates for up to 60 days before symptoms appeared. With the fact that a tourist or transient is someone that would be occupying these facilities for 60 or less days, um, and it's an EPA requirement, and it's also part of the DNR. I think I'm comfortable with keeping it in for now to require nitrate testing in a tourist rooming house or short-term rental. The something else of note is, again, state of Minnesota, their public health code for lodging is also currently in the revision process. They're a few steps ahead of us. They've either concluded their public comment or having it now, but in their revised language, on the left of the slide there in water sampling, they're going to be requiring that a non-public water system, or what we would call a private, must be sampled at the same frequency and tested for the same parameters as a non-community transient water system. So I think we're going in the right direction with what our neighboring states are doing. In overall, I think it's definitely in the preventative measure for any type of ill effects from high nitrate water. We did change, and I did provide the revised language to date. We did change the language from trying to remember what we had said. I think we had said discontinue the use of the water if the nitrates were high. We've changed that to restrict. In other words, restrict it for drinking water, but it can still be used for bathing or washing dishes or something of that sort. So it's not a complete closure per se. It's just you would have to provide some other means for drinking water if it were to come back higher than the EPA or DNR thresholds.
Okay, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
You said that are we gonna go the way, I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting, I was on vacation. We're gonna test them just like a non-transient water supply? So doesn't that mean that, they test for organics and inorganics, which is very expensive?
Yeah, we're only bringing in nitrate and total coliform.
Oh, okay.
Nitrate would then kick into E. coli if it comes back positive, but those are the only two tests. I think through the State Lab of Hygiene, I believe they're about $35 a piece.
Okay, yeah, because the organics and the inorganics, and I know you could have them do an ag. They do have ag analogies that are pretty not that pricey initially, and it does look at some of those other things, but it doesn't get so expensive.
Right. Yeah, there's some full house packages that I think run $400 some, if not more, that will test your A through Z. But in code, we're only requiring or at least proposing total coliform and nitrate on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Uh-huh. All right. That concludes our kind of wrap up from last time and our introductions. Lori, I saw you join, so welcome. We will now switch gears onto the proposed language, unless someone has something to say. I don't want to cut anyone off there. Okay. We will switch gears here. All right. We are now on to the proposed language for today. Again, subsection 4 is where we're starting with. These are exits from sleeping rooms and tourist rooming houses. So like I had mentioned before, tourist rooming houses are typically our 1 and 2 family dwellings. You know, they may be on the MLS listing 2 or 3 bedroom house, but when it comes to being offered for lodging, they may have beds in non-traditional places. So that kind of puts our inspectors in pickle of determining, is this a safe spot for this bed or cot or whatever it may be, or is it not? So we've borrowed some language from current building codes to put into our code for a basic minimum standard for exiting in different floors of a tourist rooming house, as we would find some beds. I'm going to start with the bottom part first because it references balconies and windows, and some of these other sections will cross-reference that. So I'll start with the requirements for a balcony and window, which is down here in F, and then we'll go back up. But starting with F here in balconies, 1 shall be provided with guards in accordance with subdivision 2B. And if you remember guards from last time, those are vertical slats that are 36 inches in height with gaps of no more than 6 inches. 2, the balcony shall be located no more than 15 feet above grade. In G, windows used for exiting, 1, the window shall be openable from the inside without the use of tools or removal of a sash. If equipped with a storm window or screen, it shall be openable from the inside. 2, the size of the window opening shall be at least 20 inches by 24 inches, irrespective of height or width. 3, no portion of the window, including stops, stools, meeting rails, and operating arms, shall infringe on the required opening. 4, for any window used for exiting, the lowest point of the opening shall be no more than 60 inches above the floor. 5, if the lowest point of the opening is more than 46 inches above the floor, a permanent platform or fixture shall be installed such that a flat surface, at least 20 inches wide by 9 inches deep, is located no more than 46 inches directly below the clear opening. So basically you're creating a little step up for that person to get up and out of the window. And then lastly, 6, an egress window under a deck or porch shall discharge through a clear path of at least 36 inches in height and 36 inches in width and no more than 15 feet in length to a yard or open space. So if you can imagine a 3x3 space that someone could kind of army crawl out of or duck in and crawl out from underneath a deck that's no more than 15 feet in length. So we'll go back up to the top now here. So we'll first start with basements that are used for sleeping. So number 1, basements used for sleeping shall be provided with at least 2 separate exits. A, at least one of the exits shall be a door to the exterior of the dwelling or a stairway or ramp that leads to the floor above. B, the second exit shall be a door to the exterior of the dwelling, a stairway or ramp that leads to the floor above, a stairway that leads to a garage, provided the garage has an exit door other than the overhead door, or an egress window that complies with paragraph G located in each sleeping room. B, exits from the first floor. 1, first floors shall be provided with at least 2 exit doors. A, at least one of the exit doors shall discharge to grade and may not go through a garage. This exit may include interior or exterior stairs. B, the second exit may discharge into an attached garage, provided the garage has an exit door other than the overhead door that discharges to grade. C, any exit that does not comply with subdivision B1A may discharge to an outside balcony that complies with paragraph F, which we read in the beginning. D, one of the exit doors required in subdivision B1 may be omitted for a tourist rooming house that has 1 or more egress windows on the first floor. If there are first floor sleeping rooms, each must have a window that complies with paragraph G. Any comments thus far between basement and first floor? Okay, we'll move on to second floor. C, exits from the second floor. 1, at least 2 exits shall be provided from the second floor. A, at least one of the exits shall be a stairway or ramp that leads to the first floor or discharges to grade. B, the second exit may be via a stairway or ramp that discharges to grade, or to a balcony which complies with paragraph F, or to a deck that complies with subdivision 2A and B. and that is no more than 15 feet above the grade below. 2, windows that comply with paragraph G may be provided in each second floor sleeping room or in another location on the second floor if there are no sleeping rooms on that floor in lieu of the second exit. D, exits above the second floor. 1, sleeping rooms above the second floor shall be provided with at least 2 exits that meet all the following requirements. A, the exits shall be stairways or ramps that lead to the second floor or discharge to grade. B, the exits shall be located such that an exit is accessible to the second floor if another exit is blocked. Exits from lofts. At least one stairway exit shall be provided to the floor below for a loft exceeding 400 square feet in area. 2, at least one stairway or ladder exit shall be provided to the floor below for a loft 400 square feet or less in area. And then we already read 5 and G. Any comment or discussion for second floor, above second floor, or lofts? Okay. Moving on, so subsection 5, door locks. A, general. Except as provided in B, doors to all individually keyed units shall be provided with a key or other electronic locking mechanism from the outside and a non-key locking mechanism from the inside. B, sliding exterior doors. A sliding exterior door is not required to be provided with a key or other electronic locking mechanism from the outside, but shall be provided with a non-key locking mechanism from the inside. Subsection 6, ventilation. A, discharge of combustion pollutants. 1, fuel burning appliances shall vent to the outdoors in accordance with the manufacturer's installation specifications. 2, the piping used for ventilation shall be maintained in good repair. B, unvented fuel burning appliances. 1, except as provided under subdivision 2, the use of unvented fuel burning appliances, furnaces, and space heaters shall be prohibited. 2, a fuel burning range or oven is not required to vent to the outdoors unless specified by the manufacturer's installation specifications. Just a question for the group is it confusing to include furnaces and space heaters in addition to fuel burning appliances? Considering these two are fuel burning appliances?
I think it can be helpful because I think maybe some people.
So Ted, is that saying that,
Oh, Lori, I think Chrissy was talking. Chrissy, you're a little quiet.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I think it actually might be helpful because some people might think or not know that they're fuel burning. So
Okay.
maybe it'd be easier to have it in there.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, I guess. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Lori, go ahead.
no, she answered it. That's fine.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll leave it in there then. Thank you for the comments. And is number 2 clear enough? I don't want inspectors requiring stovetops to vent to the outdoors, unless it's one of those big Wolf commercial stovetops or something like that. Is the wording in 2 okay?
I think it's good.
Okay, very good. All right, on to fire prevention, subsection 7. So again, I just want to point out, so A, B, I forgot how many letters are in here, but we start out with if provided. So we don't want to be in the position of ordering in a fire alarm system, exit signs, fire extinguishers, etc. That's a bit outside of our wheelhouse of knowledge and credentialing. but we are very well capable of, if it's already provided, we can ensure that it's being operated and maintained properly. So there will be some redundancies with the fire departments and their inspection and when we're coming, but we don't necessarily want to step on toes and all of a sudden say, hey, this building is ill-equipped. We need to order in a fire alarm system. It's not meant to do that. It's if provided, then shall. So with that said, I will read A, exit signs. So if provided, all exit signs shall be 1, illuminated and visible from any direction of exit access. 2, maintained in good repair, not broken, cracked, or damaged. 3, provided with a directional indicator showing the direction of travel when the direction of travel to the nearest exit is not apparent. So if you think of when you're looking down the hallway at the end of in a hotel, and to the right is the stairwell. It's not very apparent of whether you go left or right at the end of that hallway, but that's where that indicator would direct that person. And 4, displayed to read exit. So those would be the requirements for exit signs if they're provided. B, fire alarm and detection systems. If provided, the operator shall maintain the fire alarm system and shall meet all the following. 1, the fire alarm system shall be operational at all times that the building is occupied. 2, a lodging facility operator shall immediately notify the fire alarm system service company or other qualified personnel per National Fire Protection Association, NFPA 72, National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code, in response to any illuminated indicator for alarm, trouble, or supervisory signals on the fire alarm control panel. 3, the lodging facility operator shall maintain documentation that verifies the fire alarm system, to include any smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, has been inspected and tested annually by a fire alarm service company or other qualified personnel per NFPA 72. 4, documentation required in subdivision 3 shall be provided to the department or its agent upon request. Note, documentation can include the fire alarm and emergency communication system inspection and testing form provided by the fire alarm service company or other qualified personnel per NFPA 72, or the fire inspection report provided by the local fire department. C, fire extinguishers. If provided, fire extinguishers shall be 1, labeled to identify the class type of extinguisher. 2, provided with label instructions on the use of the extinguisher. 3, provided with a tag to identify last date of service. 4, serviced or tested every 12 months. 5, provided with a pressure gauge. 6, maintained in working order and proper pressure. D, fire rated doors. If provided, fire rated doors shall be 1, labeled with a visible fire rating. 2, self-closing. 3, closed unless interconnected with the fire alarm system. All right, 8, smoke alarms. A, smoke alarms required. The operator of a lodging facility shall provide smoke alarms within each individually keyed unit at the location specified in paragraph B. So I'll pull up my diagram here as a refresher of the terms and how it looks. And this is just a generic floor plan of possibly a tourist rooming house. But in the green section, we have the bracket kind of outlining the entire floor plan. That's our individually keyed unit. And we define that again as a refresher to mean a lodging unit that is accessed by the use of a key or other electronic device that is occupied by a tourist transient or rental group for sleeping accommodations. Within that individually keyed unit, we have the sleeping area, which is any area of the individually keyed unit in which a sleeping room is located. Sleeping rooms separated by another area, such as a kitchen or living room, are considered separate sleeping areas, but sleeping rooms separated by a bathroom are not considered separate sleeping areas. And then lastly, we have sleeping room. So and that's where the beds are located. So in this particular floor plan, we have two separate sleeping areas, one on the left for bedroom 2 and 3, and one on the right for the master bedroom in that master bath. So to go back to our locations, a functional smoke alarm shall be located, one, at the head of any stairway on each floor level, including basements and excluding crawl spaces in unfinished attics. Two, outside of each separate sleeping area within 21 feet of any door to a sleeping room, with the distance measured along a path of travel. And three, within each sleeping room. So if we go back to our diagram here, we have one smoke alarm in the center here within 21 feet of each sleeping area. So this one is essentially located where it could double for within 21 feet of this one and within 21 feet of the sleeping area on the right. In addition, each bedroom or sleeping room rather has a smoke alarm. So this floor plan would require 4 smoke alarms as prescribed in rule. Currently, our code is very outdated and only requires a single smoke alarm. So this is much more in line with current statute and building code requirements. C, certification. Smoke alarms shall conform to Underwriter Laboratories Incorporated Standard 217 smoke alarms and bear the UL listing mark or a similar mark from an independent product safety certification organization. Note the UL listing mark typically consists of 4 elements: UL in a circle symbol, the word listed, product name, and control number. So we actually have Craig, I believe, is the one that forwarded on the devices, but there are a few counterfeit smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms that inspectors have come across in the field, and they don't meet these same standards that the normal commercial devices do. So we wanted to make sure that that was clear that these needed to meet the UL standards. In addition, carbon monoxide has their own UL standard too. D, manufacturer directions and specification. The operator of a lodging facility shall install every smoke alarm required by this subsection according to the directions and specifications of the manufacturer of the smoke alarm. Maintenance requirements. A smoke alarm shall be maintained in working order and replaced in accordance with the manufacturer's date of expiration. When notified by the department or its agent of a non-functional or expired smoke alarm, the operator shall notify the department or its agent within 5 calendar days that a smoke alarm has been repaired or replaced. Any discussion, feelings on smoke alarms? Okay, we'll move on to 9, carbon monoxide alarms. So A, carbon monoxide alarms required, except as provided in paragraph I. The operator of the lodging facility shall provide carbon monoxide alarms at the location specified in paragraph E as required under paragraphs B to D. It's a little bit confusing. There's a lot of little cross references here, but we're trying to follow the state statute as closely as possible without changing the meaning of that language. But we wanted to bring in the reason we aren't referencing state statute straight out is because we wanted to bring in some identifying or clarifying terms like individually keyed unit that we use throughout our code, as opposed to the statute doesn't use that term. And there's some other terms that we have in here that provide a little bit more clarification. So if I could, I would rewrite this into something a little bit clearer, but this is what we have. So we'll look at this backwards. We'll first look at the exceptions and then the locations under paragraph E. So I'll scroll down here to our exemptions. So subsections A through H, which is basically this whole section, do not apply to the operator of a lodging facility if all the fuel burning appliances in the lodging facility are sealed combustion appliances that are covered by the manufacturer warranty against defects. So if that's the case, then carbon monoxide alarm would not be required. If a carbon monoxide alarm is required, and we'll get through B through D on what those are, they will be required in the following locations, which is E here. If required under B through D, a carbon monoxide alarm shall be installed in the following locations. 1, in an individually keyed unit outside of each separate sleeping area within 21 feet of any door to a sleeping room, with the distance measured along a path of travel. 2, in a sleeping room if a fuel burning appliance is located within the sleeping room or its attached bathroom. So now we'll look at the reasons or situations where a carbon monoxide alarm would apply. And I have some pictures to kind of tie it all in. But B is the first one. It's going to be the most strict. You have to follow the locations in E. So that would be a fuel burning appliance within an individually keyed unit. A carbon monoxide alarm shall be provided in each individually keyed unit that contains a fuel burning appliance. So I'll flip to our pictures here on what that actually looks like. It's our most common situation in a tourist rooming house. And it's going to be a fuel burning appliance really located anywhere within that home or unit. So here on the left, we've got a gas water heater that's located in the basement. Upstairs on the first floor, there's 2 bedrooms, one on the left and one straight. This would require a carbon monoxide alarm, excuse me, outside of that sleeping area within 21 feet of the doors to the bedroom. And in this picture, we've got a carbon monoxide alarm right there on the wall. Similarly, we have a condo here where in the common area on the left, there's a fuel burning appliance being the fireplace. On the other side of the condo, there are 2 bedrooms in this case, one straight, one to the left, forming a sleeping area. And there's a smoke or carbon monoxide alarm within 21 feet of those doors as well. This one happens to be on the ceiling. And then lastly here, we have a sleeping room with a fuel burning appliance, this being a wood burning fireplace in the center. A carbon monoxide alarm would have to be placed within this sleeping room. So that is B. C is a fuel burning appliance outside of an individually keyed unit. A carbon monoxide alarm shall be provided in each individually keyed unit located in a lodging facility that contains a fuel burning appliance, except as follows. 1, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required in each individually keyed unit where there is not a communicating opening between the fuel burning appliance and the individually keyed unit. So go back here, what this looks like. Again, C is going to be most common in a hotel or motel situation in those commercial buildings. So here we have our fuel burning appliance, which is a pool heater right here. And I think there might be another one in that room. But the only way to get into this room is you had to physically step outside the building and come in through this door. There was nothing connecting this room with the fuel burning appliance and the rest of the hotel. This is just a solid concrete wall. So this would not require a carbon monoxide alarm inside each individually keyed unit. Number 2, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required in each individually keyed unit where a carbon monoxide alarm is provided in one of the following locations. A, between the fuel burning appliance and the individually keyed unit, or B, on the ceiling of the room containing the fuel burning appliance. So what that looks like in practice, here's one. We've got the fuel burning appliance in here, which is the gas dryers. outside of that room between the room containing the fuel burning appliance and down this hallway is the rest of the hotel rooms. There's a carbon monoxide alarm provided. Similarly, on the right, behind this door are fuel burning appliances. Out in the hallway, we have a carbon monoxide alarm. So that meets that exemption. Number 2 is a carbon monoxide alarm is already provided on the ceiling of the room containing the fuel burning appliance. So again, on the left, we've got a pool pump room. Right here, there's a stack for a pool heater or whirlpool heater. And on the ceiling, a carbon monoxide alarm is already provided. Similarly, this was a motel utility room. We've got a couple gas appliances, one here and one here, and a carbon monoxide alarm was provided on the ceiling of this room. So that would meet the exemption for not having to provide carbon monoxide alarms in each hotel room. The last one is D, private garages. A carbon monoxide alarm shall be provided in each individually keyed unit with an attached private garage, except as follows. 1, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required in each individually keyed unit where there is not a communicating opening between the private garage and the individually keyed unit. So essentially a detached garage. 2, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required in each individually keyed unit located more than 1 story above or below the private garage. 3, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required where the private garage connects to the building through an open-ended corridor. 4, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required in each individually keyed unit when a carbon monoxide alarm is provided between the opening to the private garage and an individually keyed unit. And 5, a carbon monoxide alarm is not required where the private garage has an opening designed to provide natural ventilation or is mechanically ventilated. So again, we'll go to our diagrams here. Private garages can essentially be ignored if fuel burning appliances are present in the tourist rooming house. So this is rarely going to apply unless everything within that tourist rooming house is electric, which isn't typical. And the reason it can be ignored is because we're already following B, which was the most restrictive and strict. It was the fuel burning appliance within an individually keyed unit. B already told us that we had to follow the locations and code. So there were no exemptions that we could follow or exempt ourselves from. So we'll go back to our diagram, our generic diagram. Again, we're just looking at carbon monoxide alarms and how that language that I just read would apply to this, our generic floor plan again. So in this floor plan, now we've got a fuel burning appliance in the kitchen, as represented by the little flame there. And there's a fuel burning appliance in that master bedroom. And there's an attached private garage. So the code would dictate that we have to follow. We've got fuel burning appliances located within the individually keyed unit. We have to follow 1, which is provide a carbon monoxide alarm within 25 feet of each sleeping area. Again, we've got the one in the center right here, satisfying that. And 2 would require a carbon monoxide alarm in each sleeping room if that is where a fuel burning appliance is located. In the master bedroom, there's a fuel burning appliance, so a carbon monoxide alarm is also there. If we say everything, hypothetical, we say everything is electric in this house, but it has that attached garage. So now B no longer applies, but D does. Now we have private garage. One option is to use the exemption, exemption 4, which is providing a carbon monoxide alarm between the garage and the opening to the tourist or to the individually keyed unit, which would be a carbon monoxide alarm there. Alternatively, could just follow the locations in paragraph E, which again is providing a carbon monoxide alarm within 25 feet of each sleeping area. So that's putting that CO alarm again back in that center of that living room. Now, if we put the two together, so we've got smoke alarm and we have carbon monoxide alarm, and we go through those same three situations again, we can kind of see what we need for this particular floor plan. So again, we're going back to the fuel burning appliance in the kitchen, fuel burning appliance within the master bedroom, and there's an attached garage. From our original slide with smoke alarm, we needed smoke in the living room within 21 feet of the sleeping areas, and we needed in each bedroom. Carbon monoxide, we needed one within 21 feet of the sleeping areas, and we also needed one in the master bedroom with the fuel burning appliance. I took some just quick searches on Home Depot of what the typical cost, especially if you buy them in bulk, 4-packs or 2-packs of these different types of devices. You can get a straight smoke alarm, you can get a carbon monoxide alarm, or you can get one that's a combination that does double duty. So it does smoke and carbon monoxide detection. They average 12, 20, and 30 bucks approximately. So for this setup, putting in 2 combination alarms and 2 smoke alarms would be about $84 for this particular floor plan. If we had no fuel burning appliances but the private garage, this would be the scenario. Again, smoke alarms are where they are required. This one's using that exemption, putting a carbon monoxide alarm in the first entry area to the individually keyed unit. That would be about $78. Alternatively, it could just use a combination here to provide smoke and carbon monoxide within 21 feet of the sleeping rooms, and the smoke alarms within each sleeping room itself. That would be roughly about $66. How how confusing was that? How are people feeling about smoke and carbon monoxide and their locations and when it's required and why? No comments? Okay. We will move on to certification then. So this is still in carbon monoxide. It's going to be similar to what we just read in smoke, but F, certification. A carbon monoxide alarm shall conform to Underwriter Laboratories Incorporated Standard 2034 single and multiple station carbon monoxide alarms and bear the UL listing mark or a similar mark from an independent product safety certification organization. And it's the same note. UL listing mark typically consists of 4 elements: UL in a circle symbol, the word listed, product name, and control number. G, manufacturer directions and specifications. The operator of a lodging facility shall install every carbon monoxide alarm required by this subsection according to the directions and specifications of the manufacturer of the carbon monoxide alarm. And H, maintenance requirements. A carbon monoxide alarm shall be maintained in working order and replaced in accordance with the manufacturer's date of expiration. When notified by the department or its agent of a non-functional or expired carbon monoxide alarm, the operator shall notify the department or its agent within 5 calendar days that a carbon monoxide alarm has been repaired or replaced. Any comments on smoke and carbon monoxide? Okay. Section 10, building evacuation diagram. Except for an individually keyed unit that has a direct exterior exit access to grade, such as a row house motel or tourist rooming house, building evacuation diagrams shall comply with all of the following. A, posted, be conspicuously posted. B, location, indicate the viewer's location. C, egress pathway, indicate a minimum of 2 evacuation routes to emergency exit doors. 11, emergency exit doors. Emergency exit doors shall A, access not be blocked to prevent use. B, use be provided with a knob panic bar, or other simple type of releasing device having a method of operation that is obvious under all lighting conditions. C, direction, open in the direction of egress. In 12, emergency assistance. Pursuant to State Statute 97.623, every hotel shall offer to every guest at the time of registration an opportunity to identify oneself as a person needing assistance in an emergency, and shall keep a record at the registration desk of where each person so identified is lodged. Any feedback on the building structure and safety section, 18 as a whole? Or anything you would like me to recover or recap?
Quick question, Tad, if I
Sure.
could. This is Brandon.
Yep.
Just on the posting, obviously for those hotels and resorts, it's pretty obvious where we post those evacuation diagrams. For those of us who have homes, can you just clear for me, would those evacuation diagrams be required in every on every exit door? Is it every bedroom? What would the requirement be
So
for quantity?
Sure. And maybe we need to redo the wording, or maybe we need to change the requirement, but expectation would not be at a tourist rooming house where you're walking in through the front door or through the patio door to go into that keyed unit. This would be more where you're walking into a common area or the lobby, and you have to go through a common hallway before you get into your individually keyed unit, and not necessarily a tourist rooming house.
So I see it obviously there where we start off, except for an individually keyed unit. Again, I'm just trying to think of lowest denominator, right? Of who would be reading this. I think there is that opportunity where, because it's in this section,
Yep.
if we could offer maybe a little more defined clarity, it may save a lot of questions for the inspectors in the end down the road.
100%. Would you be playing off that? Would you be in favor of requiring all to have an evacuation plan? Like you were saying in the bedroom of a tourist rooming house, would it be a benefit to have directions for escape in there?
I think from a safety perspective, it does. From a operations perspective, we also don't want to put, and I'm sure I have fellow hoteliers here on the call that can chime in. We also just don't want to be putting up diagrams everywhere in
Right.
these units in these homes.
Right.
So I think where it makes sense, yes. Or if we say required, on the enter exit door, or required on all levels, maybe if there's one sign on all levels, I think there's some opportunity to find a middle ground there where safety does take precedent.
Okay. Anyone have any follow-up or a comment to that comment? Okay. Section 19 then, building and premises maintenance. Number 1, maintain clean and in good repair. A, sleeping rooms. The floors, walls, ceilings, and equipment in a sleeping room shall meet all of the following. 1, maintained in a clean condition. 2, maintained in good repair. B, common areas. The floors, walls, ceilings, and equipment in areas other than sleeping rooms shall meet all the following. Again, 1, maintained in clean condition. 2, maintained in good repair. C, exterior premises. A roof, exterior walls, doors, and windows shall be maintained in good repair. 2, parking areas and roadways shall be properly graded, drained, and maintained to minimize dust and dirt. 2, pest control. Every lodging facility shall be maintained to prevent the entrance, harborage, or breeding of flies, cockroaches, bed bugs, rats, mice, and all other insects, vermin, or wildlife. A, effective measures. 1. Effective measures to minimize the presence of pests shall be utilized. The department or its agent may order the operator to hire a licensed pest control operator to exterminate the pests under the following conditions. A, the infestation is so extensive that it is unlikely that a non-professional can eradicate the pests effectively. B, upon a reinspection from the department or its agent pursuant to 72.091B, the establishment continues to be in non-compliance with a prior order to rid the establishment of pests. 2A, openings to the outside shall be protected from the entrance of pests. B, all windows that can be opened in an individually keyed unit shall be screened using 16 mesh or finer material. 3, pest control measures shall be used in a safe manner. And 4, pest control measures shall be applied according to label instructions. What's the feeling? This is new. Currently, we don't do this, but this is again borrowed language from the state of Minnesota. What's the feeling on the department or its agent may order the operator to hire a licensed pest control operator? Is that a good feeling or concern? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
If it's pursuant to what we've labeled there, I mean, there's
Yep.
a reason, as long as it's not just a willy-nilly, hey, you guys need to do it. I think that we're still protected on the private sector, and
Okay.
it makes sense.
Very good.
This is Amy. I think it might help us too with some bed bug issues that we constantly see reoccurring in some of these hotels.
Yes, I think there's occasionally the operator that will just, close the room, the infested room, and never actually take the correct measures to rid the bed bugs properly. I think this will definitely help with that for sure.
Hi, it's Melissa.
Yes.
I'm trying to find the DAT cap requirements for pest control because I know it does have one. I just don't know it off the top of my head. But this situation may, because it might be considered even tourist rooming houses because they might be considered commercial use by pest standards, that it may always require licensed personnel to do so. But I can't find the reference
That's
right
under,
now.
that's
It
under
might be
B.
under B. Yep.
Okay.
So under B, restricted use pesticides. A restricted use pesticide shall be applied only by an applicator certified and licensed in accordance with state statute 94-704 and 94-705 and chapters ATCP 79.25, 26, and 40.
This is Dave.
Yes.
I was under the impression that the Wisconsin Supreme Court delineated tourist rooming houses are in fact not commercial.
I'm unaware of that.
Okay. I can get you the
Yeah, please do.
ruling that was from 2022 or 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, I'll get it over to you.
All right, thanks. Note for bed bugs, when the presence of live or dead bed bugs, eggs, skin casts, or fecal spotting are identified in an individually keyed unit, it is recommended to perform an investigation in the rooms adjacent to the identified rooms and the rooms above or below the identified room. So that's that clover leaf inspection recommendation for the operator to do that, to see how widespread that infestation may be. Maybe it might be isolated just to the one room. And if you're hiring someone, they're going to be hopefully doing that anyways. 4, hazardous substances. A, use. Chemicals, flammable materials, and other hazardous substances shall be used for their intended purposes and according to the manufacturer's directions stated on the container label. B, storage. 1, chemicals, flammable materials, and other hazardous substances shall meet all of the following. A, except as specified under subdivision paragraph D, stored in their original covered and labeled containers following safety data sheet storage instruction. B, stored in a separate secure area accessible only to staff, except for chemicals used for utensil sanitization under 72.206, which we'll cover next time. C, stored in a secure location in an area that cannot contaminate food, utensils, linens, and single service or single use articles. D, working containers used for storing chemicals and other hazardous substances taken from bulk supplies shall be clearly and individually identified with the common name of the material. C, disposal. Hazardous substances such shall be disposed in a manner and location as directed on the manufacturer's label or the safety data sheet by the local agency having jurisdiction over handling hazardous substances and the applicable sections of NR 660 to 670 as enforced by the DNR. And that is what I have for today's proposed language, wrapping up our building structure and safety, and then 20 being the building and premises maintenance, or 19 here. Any further discussion? Again, anything that needs to be clarified? Do we want to look at, since we do have time here, is there anything that people saw in the reviewed draft language that either was misinterpreted or maybe we should review again?
Hey,
Hi,
Ted.
Ted, this is Steve.
Yeah, go ahead,
Lister.
Steve.
I had a question about, in the section about licenses, 72.07.
Yep.
There's some language saying in number 2 there, it says a separate license is required for each hotel, tourist rooming house, or specialty lodging type located on a single premises.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean?
So we're determining a premise based on contiguous tracts of land or contiguous tax parcels. So if you have a given resort, they may have, and I think in the example was Lake Delton facility where they have the traditional hotel rooms, and then also connected to that building there were condo units. So the license would be a tourist rooming house license for the range of condo units that they have. And then they would also get a hotel license for the range of rooms that they have. And if they had specialty lodging included on there, which is going to be more like your treehouse type rustic idea, there would be a separate license for that.
Okay, so I guess the language just kind of confuses me there because it says each tourist rooming house. So if you had a property with a bunch of, single family dwellings on it, would each one of those units have to be licensed separately and as a tourist rooming house? Because that doesn't really jive with the fee structure of having a bunch of TRHs on the same license. Like I see 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 19, and up from there.
Right. If they're all located on the same premises and that operator is in charge of all of those, then they can be lumped in the tourist rooming house license of 2 to 4, whatever the range is.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this basically just means if there's a hotel on the premise, like a commercial building, but then there's also some single family dwellings that a separate license would be needed in that case?
If
it's
that
on the same
operator,
premise?
yeah, if that operator is managing the whole resort, yes.
Yeah, Steve, we tried to make it clear that it's the license type. So it's not that each individual building has to have a license. It's each individual license type. So if you have TRHs, and we haven't talked about the fee model yet, but we're trying to base the tourist rooming house licensing model similar to how we look at hotels, where the more you have, the more of a fee you'll pay because of the time involved in doing that work. But we haven't talked about that yet, but that's just kind of where we're going with that. And this language kind of reflects that. So if you had a property that had one tourist rooming house, you would have less of a license fee than if you had a property that had 10 tourist rooming houses on it.
Okay,
But it's one license. And then it's one license for the hotel type. It's one license for the TRH type. It's one license for like a specialty lodging type. So you might have 3 licenses, but each license would be based on the number of that type of facility that you have.
okay. Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense now.
If there's a clearer way to word it, let us know and we can wordsmith that for clarity. Any other comments about stuff we've covered, about things today? If not,
Hey, Ted,
yes, go ahead, Craig.
I'm thinking about the fire extinguisher requirements.
Mhm.
And we say if provided. So if I'm a tourist rooming house operator and I go to Home Depot and I get a fire extinguisher, it really isn't our intent to make people have those tested and tagged, correct?
Right, yeah, those are kind of a one-time use. You're thinking like the Kidda disposable ones?
Yeah, I mean, we want to encourage tourist rooming house operators to have a fire extinguisher. But
I
if
think,
they're seeing that they would have to have this tested by a fire inspection company every year, they
I think
probably
what we should,
decide not to
would,
get one.
yeah, I
Which
think what we
number
should
is
do
it?
is
I'm lost in my own
in
notes
any of
here.
those, Ted, we should probably take out provided and say if required. Because if they're required to have one, then we want to make sure that it's working properly. If they're not required and the homeowner chooses to provide one, we're not really looking at that because they're not required to have one.
That I think that puts us in the position of now we're making determination of, does this building need a fire alarm or does it not? If we put in if required instead of if provided.
Yeah, somehow we need to come up with that language. That if they're, if somebody chooses to provide one, that's not something that we're really looking at.
Right.
What we're looking at are if the building code or the fire department is requiring them to have a fire extinguisher or fire alarm or whatever. If they're required to have one, then we're going to look at it. If they're not required to have one and
Mhm.
they've provided one, that we're not paying attention to that.
That's a good question. Steve, do you know if some of the communities in Sauk require fire extinguishers? City of like Delton or Wisconsin Dells?
I'm not sure if they do. But we do see them in the vast majority of tourist rooming houses we go into.
Mhm.
A lot of times they do have them, even though they're not required. But I'm not sure if that's because of a local ordinance or something like that.
Sure,
But
right.
we are seeing them.
Okay.
That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
This is Amy from Vilas,
Uh-huh.
and there are several of our municipalities that got some kind of grant to go, the fire departments have, and they are requiring fire extinguishers. So that's
Okay.
becoming more and more popular.
Are you seeing the larger ABC that you'd see hanging outside, a hotel wall, or is it more of like what Craig was talking about with the small single-use fire extinguishers?
It's both.
It's both. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig, for that comment. We'll have to take those into consideration on what we're requiring of that. But if there isn't anything else, that's all the information I have for today, and we're good to go until the next meeting. For the next meeting, I will provide again the proposed language and a cleaned up version of what we've reviewed already. So you can, as in addition to the materials for the meeting, so you can expect that the next time as well. So thank you for joining, and you guys have a good month.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.